Welcome to this morning on Asakhe podcast, your daily dose of insightful conversation on current affairs, politics, and social issues. Please share and also follow us on social media at SiteZW. Now, stay tuned to today's episode.
A very good morning to you and welcome to this morning on Asakhe. My name is Nonhlanhla Mabigwa and of course I'm here with Brighton. Good morning, Brighton.
A very good morning to you this morning. Guys, welcome to the show this morning. Today on the show, looking at the Hansard, man. A lot has been happening in Parliament. A lot of motions have been moved in Parliament. Today, we want to reflect on that and look at the preservation of indigenous languages. We're joined by DC Bajila, the MP for Luveve, Emakhandeni constituency, to help us unpick that and understand more about this motion to preserve local languages. Bajila, good morning to you. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning, Brighton, and thank you for having me.
Let's speak about the importance of preserving our own local languages. I know most times in Parliament, even in government institutions, they're using English. Even now, Lati, we're using English. But speak to us about the importance of preserving our Kalanga, our Tonga, our Xhosa.
Well, preservation of people's languages is very important in the sense that from a social viewpoint, preserving our languages is actually preserving a definition of who we are. If somebody is Venda, they expect Venda to be recognized to the same extent as English, as Spanish, as any other language. Because if we are in support of the notion of equality of human beings, equality of human rights, therefore the languages need to be preserved, promoted, and developed to the extent that they should become equal. So that's the essence of what it is from a social viewpoint. But also for learning purposes, it's been proven that people learn better if they are taught things in their own languages. The idea of us preserving these languages is also about us having at some point in future to be able to teach science, technology, economics in indigenous languages. We must have a term for inflation in Kalang. We must have a term that explains a difficult phenomenon like virus in Indau, in Tonga, in Xhosa, in Venda, in Soto. We must develop our languages to that extent so that teaching our people these things doesn't become difficult. So that's the part where we speak about the importance of preservation of languages. But also politically, it helps us because it reduces tensions around which language does this person speak and stuff like that, as has been a dominant point in Zimbabwe. But if we teach Zimbabweans to know and be able to speak a number of languages, those differences will go and we might be able to live more harmoniously than we have lived before.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Bajila. This issue of our languages being taught and spoken often, it's been a discussion for a long time. Maybe if you can speak to us, Honorable, to say, what is the plan? How do you plan on making this work?
Okay, thank you so much, Nonhlanhla. Language development always happens on the same side with language promotion. And this is about the state and its institutions putting money to that extent. I will let you know that for English, Ndebele, and Shona to be where they are today, historically, in Southern Rhodesia, when we're still Southern Rhodesia, the government of Southern Rhodesia in 1923, in 1932, and in 1950 held what were called the missionary conferences. These missionary conferences resolved that the church and the state were interested in promoting selected local languages. So the church and the state put a lot of resources together to produce literature in English, in Ndebele, and in Shona throughout Southern Rhodesia. This literature came in terms of state communication, in terms of religious communication, including the Bibles that got printed post these language conferences. I am putting this to you as evidence that if the state and its partners decide to put resources on language promotion and language development, it can happen. So now for us to move forward, we need to have an institution like a language board, like a language commission, like a language council. That institution must then be there to start promoting previously marginalized languages. So you need to cushion those that have not gotten support beyond being written in a document, a constitution, that they are official. Because in 2013, we wrote that these languages are official, but we still haven't done much in terms of promoting them. So this motion then is coming to say, let us establish an institution. When we've established an institution, let us establish a policy on languages. I'm happy that we already have a draft, a language policy that was developed in 2022, and it seems to be a fair document. I've read the draft. But I also know that we've got various language promotion associations that fit into what is called the Zimbabwe Language Promoters Association. The Zimbabwe Language Promoters Association has done extremely well. For example, they are the ones who translated the Constitution of Zimbabwe into all the languages. So the Zimbabwe Language Promoters Association may need to be the institution that we give a statutory status. When we give it the statutory status, it must proceed to translate other state communications. The key of it is in the education sector. So the proposal of the motion is that we need to say, English, you have been throughout Zimbabwe. We are okay with that. Shishona, you are wherever you are. We are okay with that. Ndebele, you are wherever you are. We are okay with that. But with the previously marginalized languages, we are introducing a third language in each and every school in the country. The formula might be to make it to be district-based, where parents, teachers, and other stakeholders are consulted in each district. There can be numerous formulas, including going to the French, the Portuguese, the Germans, who want their languages to be taught in Zimbabwe, and say to them, okay, you are not an official language that is being taught in Zimbabwe. If you want to come, your language to continue to be taught here, we are pairing you. Wherever you are promoting French, you must be able to promote Kalanga as well. To the Spanish, whenever you are promoting the teaching of Spanish, you are printing Spanish literature, print Xhosa literature as well.
Well, thanks so much, Honorable Bajila. But also, Bajila, you touched on the issue of earlier to say you're engaging the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Now, let's look at the issue again of the teachers' colleges. I know for the students to learn about this language, they need to go back to the teachers again, how they are taught teachers and how they are deployed. We have seen in the previous years whereby the deployment of teachers is quite sad. We would see and the deployment or Tonga or Kalang and so on, and deploy everyone to people who can speak Shona in other areas.
So if a Zimbabwean moves from Zimbabwe to Cuba, they first learn Spanish so that they can be able to converse with the locals. But more importantly, I have interacted with Zimbabweans who have moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa in the Eastern Cape, to South Africa in Limpopo. The same Zimbabwean who refuses to learn Venda when they are in Beitbridge. But when they get to Tokoyando, they learn Venda and they live very well in that space. The same Zimbabweans who refuses to learn Xhosa if they are deployed to teach in Tabazinduna and the other Xhosa-speaking areas. If they are deployed to become a teacher, a mathematics teacher for that matter, a physics teacher in that matter, if they are deployed to teach physics and they get a job in Eastern Cape province of South Africa, you will find them now speaking in isiXhosa. But when they were here in Zimbabwe, they were saying, I can't. Our teachers' colleges must prioritize also the teaching of multiple languages so that people who are deployed to various places are capable of conversing with the locals in local languages. In my view, the problem of Zimbabweans when they are in Zimbabwe is not about those languages not being taught. It's about the appetite to learn other people's languages. And we need to deal with that appetite at teachers' college level. We need to deal with that appetite at nursing school level. We need to deal with that appetite at police level, at police depot level, where the police are trained. The Zimbabwe that I have a vision for, the Zimbabwe that I wish to see, is a Zimbabwe where I can meet somebody in the streets of Harare and I can ask for directions in isiXhosa, and they can hear what I am saying, and they can respond to me in Shona, and I can hear what they are saying without anyone having to change to the language of the other. If we are able to build such a Zimbabwe, where we can be able to have successful conversations in our different languages, that Zimbabwe will be united, that Zimbabwe will be solid, and that Zimbabwe will be full of social cohesion. Priority must go to those who were deprived of learning their mother language. So the priority of learning in Ndau must go to Chipinge. And then it must not just be in Chipinge, because in 2013, we agreed that Ndau is not a language of the people of Chipinge alone. It is a national language. It is a language of the people of Zimbabwe, of everywhere.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Bajila. And on that note, I would like to welcome Honorable Gift.
Hello, good morning, Nontlahla. As long as we promote one language at the expense of other languages, we are doing an injustice to a huge population, especially of the locals, who would transact and communicate better in their local languages. Since 2013, when we adopted the new constitution, which is 11 years ago, and said we had a social contract as Zimbabweans to promote and use local languages for better communication, little has been done by way of trying to promote the other 13 languages. And it's high time, as a nation, as parliament, and as government, we must begin to take strategic steps to address this issue of languages. People often communicate and relate better in their local languages. In my community of Kadoma, where there are 130,000 people, half that population, which is 65,000 or so, relate and speak better in Chewa. So when you speak in English, oftentimes you put them at a disadvantage. So we need structures, for example, a language commission that could research and proffer solutions on, number one, the state of affairs vis-a-vis language distribution in this country. Number two, how best can we make sure that each and every institution in this country is able to communicate, converse, appreciate, and understand instructions or input brought forward by anyone who's a non-English speaker. And number three, must make sure that we have education institutions that deliberately tries to foster and help our children, the little ones, to learn more language options outside Ndebele, Shona, and English. Thank you very much for this moment.
Well, thanks so much, Honorable Gift from Kadoma Central there. Yeah, I've come to the end of the show, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. For feedback, you can contact us on 263-777-470017. Don't forget to follow and like our social media pages.